Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I have another episode brought to you guys by Blade Ops. Be sure to look them up for all of your knife and EDC needs. And today I have two American-made bangers to take a look at. One is a new premium version of one of my all-time favorite American-made models, and the other one is a completely new model that's kinda, maybe not mind-blowing, but it is pretty darn badass from a very popular American manufacturer. We're going to take a look at the new premium version first, because the first knife, I think, is the one that people are going to be more likely to buy, as the second one is going to be the one that more people are likely to think about buying. Maybe not pull the trigger on one because they're very hard to find, but nonetheless, two great knives. I'm rambling. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the first one, and we have a Hogue. We have a Hogue on the table, and when you hear Hogue and you hear me say one of my favorite American-made models ever, you think of two things, either the Deca or the K320. This one here happens to be the K320. And I gotta say, I'm so glad. I came real close to buying one of these. Just haven't quite had the finances for it lately. But this is the premium version, or the Collector's Series. Hogue's calling it their Collector's Series. And they did this to, I believe, 3 different models. They did the K320, they did the Deca, and then they also did an OTF. I can't remember the name of the OTF. But this is the K320, and I have to say, I am just as happy as I was hoping I'd be, and I'm actually a little happier, and it all has to do with this handle here. We'll admire the blade real quick. It's your pretty typical K320 blade, but this one has 20 CV steel, a fantastic stonewash finish, and an absolutely phenomenal edge on this knife. A nice grind as well, but the edge is what I was meaning to get at. I started to say grind, but the edge, that perfectly honed Hogue edge that is just an absolute laser beam. But this handle, I gotta say, I have another Hogue. I have the Doug Gritter RSK Magna Cut Edition, which also has some nice milled carbon fiber. And I'm gonna say it right now, and I mean it with every single ounce of me. This Hogue does as good a job with carbon fiber as anyone in the United States. By far, I would venture to say anyone in the industry, because again, this is more milled carbon fiber that is absolutely flawless with texturizing on the handle, and there is not one blemish on this entire handle. It is so smooth, it is so good, and it is just so satisfying. The overall combination of this model, there is one thing that I actually don't like about it, but everything put together, I think, does make it the best K320 you could get. I mean, you have a premium steel with a fantastic heat treat. You have American made, you have premium carbon fiber, you have buttery drop shot action, and this is right out of the box. And this knife is so good to either middle finger flick, or you can still just slow roll it with that cutout. It's an excellent stinking knife. Feels like it's just hugging your hand. You can't go wrong with the K320 in my opinion. You guys know I've said a lot of good things about this over and over, and I'll continue to do that. The only thing I don't love about this knife is the blue hardware. It's just not, I've never really, I don't know. I would personally, I would rather just have black screws here. The blue standoffs are cool, but, and I still wouldn't mind the blue standoffs, but I just don't really like the blue screws, especially in the midst of all that gorgeous black, perfect carbon fiber. I'd rather just have black screws there. That's just me. It's getting very nitpicky, very personal preference, but this thing is an absolute home run. I stinking love it. If I ever upgrade, this is definitely going to be the upgrade from the K320 I have. That K320 I have has a lot of pocket time. It's kind of a bond at this point. But this is just an absolute banger, and it's as good as you can get if you're looking for a K320. To the best of my knowledge, these are still available at Blade Ops, so there'll be a link down there. Hop down and check them out if you want to pick one up. They have sold out at other places, and like I said, at the time of this video, they were in stock. The link below will tell you if they still are or not. But yeah, banger, absolute home run of a knife. I love it. The K320 Nitron Premium Edition with carbon fiber and 20 CV. I wanted to make that one pretty quick because you guys have already seen my review of it. But this next one here, this next one is quite the looker, quite the looker. Yeah, it's a Microtech, but hold on, hold your horses. This is not a super crazy, ridiculous, expensive Microtech. This is a production. This is the production version of the newest Microtech that's kind of a unicorn right now. It's really, really, really hard to get your hands on. As soon as they're listed in stock, they sell out within 5 minutes tops. This is the Glycon. Yeah, the Microtech Glycon. One of the most unique OTFs to hit the market in quite a while, in my opinion. As most of you probably know by now, a lot of it has to do with this actuator. But we'll do a little more of a detailed overview of this. Let's pop this blade out. Ooh, look at that. Look at that guy. Let's take a look at some overall specs before we get into the overview of this knife. We have an overall length of 9 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.75 inches, a handle length of 5.25 inches, a weight of 5 ounces, and a price not quite as bad as what you might be thinking, a price of $535. Now, I'm going to say right now for the record, I don't have a huge problem with that price for this knife. I really honestly don't. I'll go over the reasons as we go through this, the review of this knife. But I got to say, there are some things with this Glycon that Microtech has done that has really gotten my attention in a very positive way. Now, when you get into just the actual blade itself, this blade, I gotta say, Microtech did some things really right here. And the first thing I'm gonna say, you may know it, but the branding or lack thereof, they stopped billboarding right in the middle of the blade. They moved it down here to this very unique looking area, which is kind of like a thumb rest is all I can come to on it. Now, what that's gonna allow you to do is obviously get up closer on the blade, kind of bear down for maybe some detail work or some heavier cuts to get closer up, depending what you do. Some people prefer doing that. And I gotta say, I don't have any issue with doing that because there's a very nice level of safety on this slider. You have to really, right here, you hit a point to where it stops. And I mean, it's not super hard. I don't want to spoil too much of the action portion, but it's definitely not bad, but it has just enough resistance to where I would not worry for a second about this blade closing on me. Again, just me, personal opinion there. I wouldn't worry about it. It feels great. It feels totally durable, very solid, and some really nice jimping. Like, this jimping is meant to be used. It's meant to put your thumb there and bear down on this blade. So I like that a whole lot, but you want to be careful because if you slip past, that's a pretty sharp edge there. Now, when it comes to the behind the edge reading on this, it's slightly thinner than other Microtechs I've had. We're talking 19 to 20 thousandths behind the edge on this guy, which is a hell of a lot better than some other Microtechs I've had. Other ones have been 22 to 25 thousandths. So, you know, slightly, you know, a sharper edge. Microtechs are always sharp. It's just the cutting geometry that kind of takes away from some of it. And you get that with a lot of daggers. So it's not just a Microtech thing. It's more of just a blade style thing. You just have that sometimes. But this is definitely, this is a very nice blade. Microtechs always come sharp. Again, it just comes down to that thickness behind the edge. And this is a little better than the rest. So, not many things wrong with this. I really like this blade. We got M390 steel here. They got the marking on there, which is nice. Sometimes they don't. You have to just trust and assume that they're using premium steel. It's not that I don't trust Microtech, but I still like seeing the blade branding on the steel. And that's basically the blade. It's a very unique looking blade. I think it looks great personally. Some people may think this looks ugly as all get out. I really like it. I'm a fan of it. I like the double edge up top and having that place to rest your thumb on down here at the bottom. And it actually feels good. Like, this feels natural. It doesn't feel like I'm reaching. Really like the feel of this in hand. Now, going into the handle, this is where things get even better because I love this handle. I love just about everything about this handle. They did a lot of very, very interesting things. They make it makes it different and fresh more than anything, because I was really getting burnt out on the chassis of Microtechs because they all look the same forever. This one's very different. And the first thing I'm going to point out is back here. The clip, which is very nice. The clip feels phenomenal in hand. Super smooth. No hot spots, no nothing. Excellent, excellent, excellent clip. And then back here where they have the lanyard hole, you see what they did there? They kind of made this little see-through hole here, which to where the screws, I'm assuming, I know I haven't disassembled this, but I'm assuming the screws, one kind of screws into the other is my guess, or they both screw into a center post. I'm not sure. But it's completely see-through. It's good. That's your lanyard hole. I love what they did there. Then they also have the notches there for the tool. Very, very nice. I'm assuming this is a big hole. I'm assuming this is like a T15 maybe. It's pretty big. But you got your lanyard spot without your gaudy window breaker, without your gaudy little thing sticking up to try and put a lanyard on. I love the way they engineered that. That looks excellent. It looks so clean and very, very good. One thing, the price, I'm going to go back to the price real quick on this, the $535. A lot of people are seeing these things for $1,400. What reminded me of this was the clip, because the $1,400 versions is the Signature Series, and it has Mr. Marfione's signature there on the clip. Now, the Signature Series is $1,400. No offense to Mr. Marfione whatsoever, but I don't see that much of a difference between the Signature Series and this production version. It's just not there for me for an extra $900. No way. The production version, yes, all day. I'm okay with $535 for this. But another $900 just to have his signature on the clip and maybe a couple other extra little things, it doesn't justify the price. I get it's a collector's thing, I get that, but you still have to make it make sense, and that's not making sense for me. But this production version for $535, yeah, yes. Back to this handle now. Another thing that I really like is the combination of the black aluminum and the raw titanium, just that kind of black and silver look. That's really good. That's really good. There's no real pop. Everything's nice and kind of a matte or bead blasted finish. You have detail here on this. I guess you could kind of call it like a chassis spacer or a back spacer, some type of spacer. It looks really good. It works with the knife. It looks fantastic. The hardware is nice and beefy as always, is what you would expect with the Microtech. The actual width and feel of the chassis in hand is very close to a Combat Troodon in terms of size and thickness. Just doesn't obviously a very, very different appearance. But you're very much right in that Combat Troodon size in general, which I think a lot of people will like. Now, the one thing that really sets this apart from the Combat Troodon, at least from my experience, right there, the action on this guy. Very, very smooth, easy to operate, at least with this main actuator. You know, it has its little tough spots because it's a bigger knife, and I had a Combat Troodon that I really liked, but the force it took to kick that blade out was just like, it got to the point to where it was just too much on my thumb, and I didn't enjoy it. And when you spend that much money on a knife like this, you have to enjoy every aspect of it. I was just talking to someone about that today regarding this knife. When you're spending $500+ on something, you really, truly, in that less than $500, you can be talking $350, $300+. You have to enjoy every single aspect of the knife to justify a purchase of, of that price for a knife. For a production knife. And this has that in the action department for the main actuator. The main actuator is arguably the most enjoyable action on a Microtech I've ever had. The Ultratech's really good, but for this big of a knife, for this big of a blade and handle, very, very nice action. Now, these side actuators, I like them. I think they look great. They work very good, but they take a significant more amount of force to close it with one finger. That's the drawback. I can deploy it with one thumb, pretty easy. Now, it is harder than the main actuator. I want to specify that and be very clear about that. The main actuator is a breeze. The side actuators are more difficult. I don't consider them terrible, but they're not easy. And to close them with one finger, I can do it, but it's not enjoyable. I wouldn't do it. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Now, I will say, I've kind of been doing this, using both fingers to pull it in. I do like that. I will admit. I don't like the fact that I'm using it as a scapegoat to avoid having to close it with one finger, but it is kind of nice to do. It's one of those things to where it's convenient and it's different to where I still like it. But yeah, the side actuators are harder to deploy. And that's the only thing that really catches me up on this knife. If these side actuators were as easy to actuate as the top actuator, I probably wouldn't be sending this knife back. I would buy it like in a heartbeat. Because I really, really do enjoy pretty much everything about it except for the slight difficulty of these side actuators. And they get a little harder over time too, because the top one is big enough to where it doesn't wear that bad on your thumb. If you've had other Microtechs and you're fine with it, you're gonna really enjoy this one because it is wider, so it does feel better from its width. But these side actuators, they're small and they have very nice, precise, texturized milling. But they do tend to take a toll on your thumb. But again, if you're using both fingers, it's not a problem. But again, if you want to keep trying to close it and open it with just your thumb on this side like this, yeah, that's gonna annoy your thumb pretty quickly. You won't probably enjoy that. You won't enjoy it as much the third time as you did the first time, let me tell you, because you notice it quick. The first time anyone can play it once and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you just start doing this and going back and forth and you're like, oh, okay, time out. Let me massage my thumb here. So, I think I got my point across well enough on that. Overall though, it does have a very nice action. For the main actuator, it's fantastic. Side actuators are good for 2 fingers. And the overall design of this knife, I think, is fantastic. I'm a really big fan of it. It's even a little crisper. The sound and the feel of this guy, you can tell Microtech is they're doing some things. They're making some improvements. I really, really like that. This is a very good looking knife with great main actuator action, a great fresh design, a lot of good things going on this. For $535, I'm not going to complain. I really do think it's worth that. Again, it all comes down to the eye of the beholder. If you're a Microtech fan, $535 is, I think, no problem for this. And even for someone like me who really, really likes Microtech, but I'm not a Microtech nut, I'm okay with this. But I am hoping they improve this. I'm gonna wait a little while and hope they improve the ease of these side actuators. But again, man, I really like doing that double finger pull on the side actuators. That is very nice. It's enjoyable. But that's it, guys. That is the Microtech Glycon and that brief little hello with the K320 Collector's Edition from Hogue. Let me know what you guys think of this one. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.